Yes. Oh, what a good boy. Thank you, Mr. Milo. I love you so much. You're my best friend. Thank you. Well, hi there. I'm Professor Dan, and that was Mr. Milo. He's my best friend. And he may look like an ordinary dog, but he's not. He's a science dog. And what makes him a science dog? He's always asking questions. He loves to ask questions. And if you like to ask questions, why don't you come along with us? We're getting ready to head to the classroom and learn some interesting stuff. So come on. Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us again. I appreciate you all coming back up here and visiting the classroom. Well, you never guessed what me and Mr. Milo were doing last night. We were outside looking up at the stars and the moon and just seeing how beautiful everything is.
Milo, so what'd you think about the stars and the moon? Did you like that? What? What was that on the moon? Oh, those are craters. Those big round things we saw up there, those are craters. Do you want to go up to the classroom? I can show you about those and how they're made. Come on, let's go up there and talk. Come on.
Okay. And you know, we were looking at the moon, and actually, we have this. Let me see here if I can get this real quick. Yes, this is my handy dandy trusty telescope. It's not a real big one, and it's not real powerful, but it does let us, take the cap off, that does let us look at the moon, and we can see the moon a lot better. We can see the surface of the moon. And there are all these little marks all over the moon. Have you ever looked at the moon? I mean, howl at the moon. But have you ever looked at the moon and seen that there's little marks all over it? It's not smooth. Those are called craters. As a matter of fact, let me show you a really quick video about what the moon looks like so you get a better idea about what we're talking about. So here, check this out. You see how the moon, I know it's kind of rotating, it's kind of cool, but there's a dark side and the light side of the moon, but on the light side you can see all those marks. You see the marks on there? They're like little circles all over the moon. Maybe that's why sometimes they say the moon's made of cheese, but we both know that's not true, right? Right. But you've probably seen cheese with holes in it like this, Swiss cheese? But anyway, those little holes are called craters, and that's what I want to talk to you guys today about. We thought that would be really cool. So, okay, thanks for coming back now. So we were using the telescope to look at to see what everything looked like. So it's important to get a better view sometimes if you can have a little telescope like this. Maybe for your birthday or Christmas or something, maybe you ask mom or dad and say, hey, can I get a telescope so I can see the moon and look at the stars better? Because it's really cool and it's fun to do. Or maybe you have a friend, or maybe at school they have one you can borrow. But anyway, check it out sometime with a telescope and they look really cool. So let me get this out of the way real quick. Just going to put it down here. So, do you wonder how it got craters, those round marks on the moon? Let me show you a little demonstration you guys can do at home. It's a lot of fun and it's a little messy. So you got to make sure you check with your mom or dad or grandpa or grandma, whoever's around, to make sure it's okay. But I'm going to show you how those craters were made on the surface of the moon. Okay? So, let me show you what we're going to do here. What you're going to need, it's pretty simple. All you need is, you always need paper towels. See, I have my trip. Oh, I didn't introduce you guys to Wally. I'm sorry. Wally, I don't know if you've seen one of the other videos. We talked about how Wally stays warm up in the Arctic. But Wally said he wanted to come back down and be in a video. So I said, sure, no problem. So I'm going to give you front row seat over here and you can watch, okay? Gee, thanks, Professor Dan. See? All right, so we're going to stick Mr. Wally right here, and he can watch. But here were my paper towels. Like I said, I always have paper towels because I am such a mess. I'm always making messes, as we all know. So, I have my handy dandy paper towels. We're good to go. So this is a cake pan. Okay, again, mom, dad, grandma, whoever probably has a cake. I did not drop that. That was a figment of your imagination. That did not happen. Jeez. So, a cake pan is what, obviously, you bake a cake in. So, they're usually round and they look like this. Nothing real fancy, I know, but this is what we're going to use today. So, you want a cake pan. It's got a lip on it to hold stuff in it, okay? That's why you need a cake pan. It works really well. Then you're going to need, here, I'm going to stick this over here so you can kind of just check it out. It's right there, trust me. Then you're going to need some flour, some baking flour. So if you guys have flour, again, check with mom or dad or somebody there in the kitchen to see if you can use some flour. You're going to need maybe to use about a pound of flour, okay? So get some flour, and the only other thing you're really going to need, scoot that right here, is some cocoa. This is cocoa is used for baking. That's how they bake chocolate cakes sometimes. Or you can make hot chocolate from cocoa. And this here's just, it's just basically some hot chocolate mix. It's hot cocoa. So, but it's the secret about this that we're using is brown. So we have white, which is the flour, and we have brown, and I'll show you why that's important. Plus, it's really fun to drink sometimes. Make some hot chocolate if it's winter, or some cold chocolate milk if it's summer. I love chocolate milk. I like strawberry milk too. Have you ever had strawberry milk? It's so good. I love strawberry milk. Anyway, so let me show you what we're gonna do with these real quick. Very simple, very easy for this demonstration, guys. You're gonna take your pan, like we have right here, and then we're gonna take the flour, and what you're gonna do is just kind of dump it in. You can watch and see. We're gonna put about 1 inch and just kind of spread it around in there. We don't want a big pile in the middle because it makes it hard to kind of separate and to spread. So we kind of want to just spread it around. You can kind of see what we did here. It's kind of a mess, but we're going to fix that. So what we're going to do right now, we're going to take the spatula, which I have used several times. Very fun. You use to scrape cake pans. See, they're flexible. So we're going to use that, and we're going to kind of flatten out the flour. Just kind of spread it around very gently, because flour is very light. It's not real dense. We talked about densities before. Flour is not really dense when you're working with a small amount. So you got to be gentle, otherwise you'll splash it out everywhere and it'll make a giant mess, and we're not ready for that yet. So you can just kind of take it and spin it around. And just try to make it, kind of get it as flat as you can. It's not super important that it has to be really flat, but if it's kind of smooth, it just makes it easier. Okay, then we just knock the flour off, and we've got that going. So, we have that. Next, as you can see, I will hold it up here. Voila! It's kind of fun to do. So, there's that. Next thing we're gonna do is take some of the cocoa mix, some of the chocolate powder, okay? And then we're going to take one of these. Have you ever seen one of these before in your kitchen? It's called a seine. And you see it's got little tiny holes in it. And what it does, it makes the things that come through it, it makes them smaller. You know, sometimes you may have seen your mom or dad put spaghetti in a great big one and drain the water out so the spaghetti stays in the top and the water comes out of the bottom. Usually you have a great big one to do that. This is a little one, so you can put little stuff in it. So here's what we're going to do. We're actually going to take some of the cocoa powder and the seine. What you're going to do is pour, some of the cocoa powder in the seine, okay? Then we're going to put a little more. You're going to put maybe, a half a cup. Okay, again, have your mom or dad kind of help you with this if you need it. And then you take the side of your hand like this, and you tap the seine against it. And what happens is, the cocoa powder will gently fall out and fall down, and it makes it a very, very, very fine powder. And that's the whole purpose of this, is to put a really fine powder on this. So we're going to sprinkle it all over. It's pretty even, okay? We want it nice and even, and try to get as much of the white flour covered, because it's going to have a really neat effect. Okay, I'm going to put just a tad bit more in, just a little. You can kind of guess as you go. If you need more, add more. If you don't need as much, don't put it all in. So, okay. So great. I've got that in there. So now you can see, let me get this out of the way. Super. How you doing, Wally? You like chocolate? Yes, I love hot chocolate. Where I live, it's so cold. I'm happy for you, Wally. I really am. So, this is what we've done. We've covered up all the flour with some of the cocoa. Can you see that? So that was the effect. That's what we were trying to do. Now, there's a reason we did this, and the reason is we wanted to create a surface kind of like the moon. The moon, the surface, it's very powdery on top. It's not like if you go out in your yard where the ground's really hard and you walk on it. It's kind of powdery the first few inches, 3, 4, 5, 6 inches. It's really powdery. And again, if you watch some space shows, when the astronauts went and walked on the moon, you'll see them step in it and it leaves their footprint in the powder on the surface. So, those holes that we see on the surface of the moon are made by meteorites. Have you heard of meteorites before? A meteorite is a small rock, relatively speaking, it's small. It depends what you consider small. Usually though, if they come and hit the Earth, a meteorite is usually small. It's typically they're not bigger than a car, according to the scientists, because they burn up in our atmosphere. The Earth has an atmosphere around it, and when things go through space, through our atmosphere, it causes friction, and things burn up. They get so hot they just vaporize. So a lot of times you may have a meteor coming through, and then as it passes through the atmosphere, it burns up and it gets smaller and smaller until when it finally does hit the Earth, they're usually relatively small. You can have big ones, but usually they're small ones. You know, they have a theory that a giant meteorite hit the Earth like 65 million years ago. Some scientists think this may have happened. Maybe, maybe not. They think it may have happened, and it's what led to the extinction of our friend, the dinosaur. They think maybe the meteorite hit and it was so big that it caused all sorts of problems in the atmosphere and caused it to get dark and plants died and the dinosaurs didn't have food to eat and all these things happened, that it may have led to their extinction. So sometimes meteorites get through and hit the Earth and it causes a lot of trouble, but most of the time they're very small and they don't cause many problems when they hit. So let's put him back. We'll talk about dinosaurs another day, but we're gonna put him back there for now. Okay, so sorry, I'm just talking and talking. But this stuff's kind of cool. I really love it. If you ever want to know stuff, you ask questions, and I'm hopefully answering one of them is, why are there holes on the moon? So we have that surface of the moon. Meteorites, there's asteroids too. You may have heard of asteroids, but asteroids are usually pretty big. They're big, like bigger than cars, like the size of a house or like a football field. And they circle the sun. They're in an orbit, and there's a big belt. They call it a belt. It's just a big line of asteroids, and they just go around the sun and around the planets, and they just go around and around. Every once in a while, one of them kind of falls out of the orbit and kind of drifts away. But those aren't usually what hits the Earth. But the moon, on the other hand, it seems to collect a lot of things. So the moon does not have an atmosphere. So it doesn't burn up. If a meteorite comes through, it comes all the way through it, hits, and it hits hard. When a meteorite hits here, it hits hard, but they're usually smaller. And you know what? We don't find as many on the surface. Like if you look at the moon, there's hundreds and thousands of all these marks. On the Earth, you don't see that many, because on the Earth, there's several reasons why these marks, when they do hit, they disappear over time. We have erosion, meaning weather. So when you have those big holes over hundreds of years and thousands of years, these holes where they hit start to go away. The rain, the wind, the plants, everything, it kind of erodes it and it kind of masks it and makes it disappear. Plus the Earth has tectonic plates. Big pieces of the Earth actually move and shift, and those cause meteorite marks to disappear. So there's several reasons why you don't see as many on the Earth as you do on the moon. You see all of them on the moon, they never disappear. You know that the astronauts' footprints are still there? They're still there because there's no wind. There's nothing, there's no weather up there. So whatever hits stays. So all those marks have been from thousands and thousands of years of things hitting the moon. Okay? So here's a really cool thing we're going to do now. We got our pan, okay, and this is going to represent kind of the moon's surface. It's kind of soft, a little powdery, all right? So what we're going to do, as I talked about, meteorites come through and they hit. But what happens when they hit? Are you starting to think about that? Are you thinking, what happens when a big old rock comes through and hits the moon? Now you got to remember, these rocks aren't going 10 miles an hour. They're going thousands of miles an hour. They're going so fast, faster than airplanes, okay? Faster than rocket ships a lot of times. They're going so fast. When they hit, they just smack. And you can see what happens. They leave big marks. So here's what we're going to try. What if on this we use it like the surface of the moon? Okay, sound good, Wally? Check this out. So let's pretend this rock is a meteorite, okay? It's just a rock I found outside. Not real big, but it's okay size. And let's see what happens when this rock, as it smacks into the surface, what it does. And I'm going to kind of put this over here so so you can kind of see what's going on. But let's watch this. Now again, this is just the rock hitting it, but this is a good example of what happens. Watch. You see that? It hit and everything kind of spread out. Okay, what happens if maybe a little bit bigger rock hits and it's got a funny shape? It's kind of like a triangle. What's going to happen there? Oh, wow. Did you see that? It kind of exploded and threw everything off to one side. And that's what happens when those asteroids, when the meteorites hit. They hit so hard, a lot of times they just blow up. So there's little tiny pieces everywhere. There's not just one big one sitting there. They hit because they're so hard and I can't throw it that fast. Okay, if I could, I'd be playing baseball. So, but they hit and they go poof, and they cause these explosions. Like here's another one. If it came down, poof, and that one got buried up. So that could happen too. But usually they're so fast, it hits and goes poof, and the dirt and everything just goes flying out. Now, what would happen, say maybe I wanted to try some of these things. You can try different things, and that's what I wanted you guys kind of do. How about this? What if we have a marshmallow? Little bitty baby, maybe baby marshmallow. Goes good with hot chocolate. See, squishy, 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 and they taste yummy. Uh-oh, I was supposed to use that for the experiment. Hang on. It's okay, I have more. I always have more. So, okay, let's find out. Let's see what happens when a little teeny tiny marshmallow, when I throw it, it hits. Okay, well, it did a little bit, but not much. Do you know why? Because it's not as dense. It's lighter. And I can't throw it as hard. So when it hits, it's not hitting as hard, causing as much, basically, explosion. Okay, so let's try this. We tried a little baby marshmallow. Now, what happens if we do this? This is a great big old marshmallow, yes? And it's soft and squishy, and it kind of tears apart. It's kind of fun, and I can't use this because I just ripped it in half. So I guess I have to eat it. It shows here. Wow, you have that one. Enjoy. So let's get another one. Okay, now we have a great big marshmallow again. Big marshmallow. Yes, see? Wheat. Okay, let's see what happens here. 1, 2, 3. Okay, well, I would have thought with a bigger marshmallow, it would have made a bigger mess. But it didn't make a big giant mess. It kind of made just an average size mess. See, the dent's not real big. It's kind of there, but didn't do a whole lot. So, put that one to the side. What about, you know what this is? It's a Hershey's Kiss. It's a kiss. Love you. So, we have a kiss. Love you, Wally. We have chocolate. Chocolate. It's chocolate day. So, we unwrap the chocolate kiss. I'll put the wrapper over here. And what happens if we drop this in here? I don't know. Let's find out. Ooh, that went way down in there. And it made a funny shape. It made the shape of the kiss. Do you think that would happen if a meteorite the shape of a candy kiss hit the moon? Really, it wouldn't. Because the velocity, how fast it's going, it would just make a big round circle. But because I can't throw it that fast, it just kind of left the shape of the kiss. So, that's how that turns out. Now, let me see, was there something else? Oh yeah, I want you guys to see, what if we used, these are yummy. These are they're chocolate chips or chocolate chip cookies. See, got 2 of them there. What happens? Now we have 1. What happens if I drop this into the surface of the moon? Let's see. Not much. It kind of blends in because it didn't even take the surface. The chocolate powder didn't even move it. So it's hard to even see. It's right there on top. Again, because of the velocity, because of how fast it's going, it didn't go very far in because I can't throw it that hard. But if that was going 20,000 miles an hour, like in space, things travel super fast because there's no friction. Okay, there's no atmosphere, there's no air. So being in a vacuum, it's called, it just travels the same speed the whole time. It never slows down. So in a collision, things collide like two asteroids, boom, and lots of little pieces come off, and all those pieces shoot off. And that's what could happen. But those little pieces can even make marks when they hit because they're going so fast. Again, I can't throw it that fast. But this is kind of an idea of how when things hit, they can change. I got another little rock. Let's see what happens when it hits. See, it kind of made a little bigger difference. But those are kind of some of the cool things that you can try at home. So try some different things. See when it hits the surface what kind of marks it leaves. But this is how the craters on the moon were formed. And they're still formed today. Whenever a meteorite actually hits the surface, it's going to leave another mark. And it happens all the time. It never stops because there's always little things flying through space. And every once in a while, they hit the moon. And they hit us. But don't worry, no problems, because we have space stations all over the United States. Not space stations, what do I want to say? Scientists all over the world, the globe, who monitor this. They have great big giant telescopes, and they're monitoring it all the time. So they always know where all these bigger asteroids and bigger meteors are. So they watch it and they can tell us if something's going to happen. So don't worry, we're okay. But that's how the marks were made on the moon. Okay? Anybody have any questions? I can't hear you. Of course I can't hear you. It's not turned on. I can't. But I hope you guys enjoyed your time here. I think Wally had a good time. Did you have a good time, Wally? Yes, I did. Thanks for inviting me. You're welcome. You like that kind of stuff? Yes, I do. I love chocolate, but I like chocolate clams more. Chocolate clams. Really? Okay. I'll have to try those someday. So, all right. Oh, one more thing I was wondering. What if an asteroid, what if a great big one hit the surface of the moon? What would that look like? I don't know. I wonder. Let's move this surface of the moon. And you know what? I have a mess. So you know how I am with messes. Do you know what? I forgot to tell you guys. I wanted to explain something real quick. I'm sorry. I love this saying. Did you guys read my saying here? And it's so true. Did you read that? You always pass failure on your way to success. Think about that. You always pass failure on your way to success. And I'll give you an example. What I had to go through. When I learned my multiplication tables, I had so many problems. It was so hard for me to memorize my multiplication tables. So I failed a lot. But you know what? I didn't quit, and I finally conquered it, which means I overcame it. I learned my multiplication tables, and now I'm pretty good at multiplying. So sometimes we fail to achieve. So every time you fail something, you're actually one step closer to succeeding. You just don't quit. And sometimes that's the hardest thing of all, is to keep going. But again, I love that. You always pass failure on your way to success. So don't feel bad if you fail at things, because you're just getting one step closer to succeeding. So that's important. Now, let me do this real quick. I know this is boring. It's not boring. It's important, because when you guys learn this, do you know what they say? They say knowledge is power. What do you think that means? Knowledge is power. When you know something, you know something. When you don't know it, you don't know it. So, when you have knowledge, like say if you know math, you then have power. Because somebody who doesn't know math doesn't have any power over that. Meaning if you know how to do math, maybe you're going to be an accountant. Or maybe you're going to be a scientist when you have knowledge. And that's what we're all doing, is learning all of our life. We never stop. I haven't stopped, and I'm not going to stop until I'm not here. So it's important. We always keep pressing on. So real quick, I just want to show you two words. First one is asteroid. Asteroid. Asteroid, excuse me, asteroid. Yes? Yes. Very simple, very easy. Asteroids are the great big rocks that go around the sun, orbit the sun, and orbit the planets. That's what asteroids are, so I don't want you to get confused. Okay, so those are asteroids. Now, what we're talking about, what's hitting the moon, is actually meteorites. Okay, have you heard the word meteorite before? Okay, meteorites. Meteorites are the stones that get through the atmosphere on Earth, that get through the atmosphere and actually hit the Earth. That's called a meteorite, and they'll find pieces of meteorites sometimes. Meteorites are also what you call them when they hit the moon. Meteorites are what leave the little circles on the moon, right? So, remember, meteorites make the craters. Asteroids are the big rocks that float around in space, that go around the sun and the planets. Okay? So that's kind of the difference on those. Great. All right, we got that. So now you know the difference. I did need to show you that so that when you see it, you'll know a meteorite is different than an asteroid. Meteorites are what hit the moon or the Earth. Asteroids are what fly around the sun and the planets in a big, they call it a belt. Whole big line of rocks going around in space. Okay? Got it? Good. So, again, if you guys had a great time here, you know, I hit the like button. Here. Hit the like button. Subscribe so you'll know when we're on and you can get more information and join our family with Wally and Milo. But there was one thing I was starting to ask you guys. Like, what if an asteroid hit the moon? What do you think would happen? Well, I'm not sure, but here's what I've got. I have a whole nother moon surface. See? See my other moon surface? Pretty cool, huh? So, I wonder what would happen if something like, you know, an asteroid were to hit this. What do you think might happen? I'm not sure. But I tell you what, I'm going to do this. Let me take the camera here. I want to do this. I want you guys to be able to see this moon surface here. And I have my little string here, as you can see. Let's see what might happen if we ever so gently, maybe, had an asteroid hit the moon surface. Oh, cool! Cool! Did you guys see that? Look at that. It was Milo's tennis ball, but don't tell him because it was for science and it's important. He had to sacrifice the tennis ball. But look at that. Isn't that just awesome? That is so cool. So that's what happens when something big hits the surface of the moon. It makes a crater like that. That is so cool. And look what it did all around. It just blows stuff everywhere. And that's what you see in the moon picture here. Look at the moon picture again. Do you see all the little impacts that were made? How it kind of throws stuff out everywhere? Now here, look at this. See, it did the same thing. It created an impact circle and it just threw stuff everywhere, just like on the moon. So, I'll go ahead and put this back. So that's how those craters are created. So anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this. I had a lot of fun. I thought that was extra special. So I hope you guys enjoyed this part of it. Try it at home. Make sure you've got stuff covered up though, because you can see it blows stuff everywhere. And that's half the fun. So guys, have a great week, great day. Whatever you're doing, be blessed and enjoy what's going on in your lives. So thanks so much for coming, and we'll see you guys real soon. And until then, I know Mr. Milo wants to say bye, and so do I. So we'll see you. And Wally wants to say bye too. Bye-bye, everybody. Miss you. Bye-bye, everybody. We'll see y'all later. Bye-bye.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. He's vicious. He's vicious. Oh, Milo, I love you. Oh my goodness. You go get it. Go get the ball. Go get it. Get it. Okay, Mr. Milo. Yes, I love you. You need to tell everybody bye-bye. You gonna say bye-bye to everybody? Say bye-bye. Bye-bye, everybody. Bye.